House of the Dragon Season 2, Everything We Know. With the first season of the show coming to a conclusion in the epic nature that it did, and with the Dance of the Dragons that we've all been anticipating looking like it's now finally arrived following the act of war commencing through Aemond and Vhagar taking out Lucerys and Aemond, I thought I'd take a look at all that was out there along with giving my theories and predictions to what I think could happen next in the show. So let's get into it. Here is House of the Dragon Season 2, Everything We Know. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. The story. Well, there's a lot of room for Season 2 to go in when it does get released. Following Lucerys and Aemond being taken out by Vhagar and Daemon unintentionally, Rhaenyra was once prepared for diplomatic reasoning that was more focused on peace and the lack of burning the Seven Kingdoms to the ground in order to claim it. But with the Greens taking the life of her son, the look on Rhaenyra's face in the closing shot spoke 1,000 words. War has been declared and diplomatic reasonings are no longer an option on her radar. I believe she'll plan to go in with full force, close off the narrow sea by the stepstones and make it as difficult as possible for the Hightowers that are currently staking their claim to the throne with the use of Aegon. I would predict that we'll now be set within the time period of the Targaryen Civil War, and time jumps will no longer be present within the show, where the need for the individual playing the character will need to be recast due to the time jump forward. Joffrey, along with Rhaenyra and Daemon's children, Viserys and Aegon, will most likely need to be recast throughout the rest of the season, but that's only because of the young age that they're currently at. Within the Dance of the Dragons, which occurred between 129 and 131 AD, it was made up of several battles, large scale and small, around 19 or 20 individual battles, with us not really seeing any battles in the first season, other than when Daemon and Corlys stormed the Stepstones with the intention of taking out Cregan, the crab feeder. We were deprived in that sense, but with the Dance of the Dragons now being something that has officially begun, we're in for several battles that are set to take place as Rhaenyra seeks to lay claim to the Iron Throne, and edge closer to the hopeful and eventual taking of King's Landing. In terms of dragons on screen, we've been introduced to many of them and seen them express their powers to some degree, but with only a handful of them ever being in a battle, many of them are in their infant stages still. However, with the war that nobody planned on occurring now happening, we'll most likely see a lot more focus on the dragons, as anybody who's able to ride a dragon will likely be required to participate in some form. As we know from when Aegon the Conqueror conquered the Seven Kingdoms, dragons were the key component in all of that, and with the Blacks having more dragons than the Greens, that could prove to be beneficial. Although we have seen how easy it is for Vhagar to tear through a dragon that is a fraction of her size, so I feel Vermithor will be her largest threat. One of the main things that we could see occur in Season 2 of the show is something called Blood and Cheese, which is named after two individuals that are set to carry out a task which they're tasked with doing by Daemon following Lucerys' death. I'm going to say skip to the timestamp on screen if you don't want to hear anything about Blood and Cheese, as it is a major spoiler for the story, and if you haven't read the novel and are waiting for Season 2, then it's probably best not to hear this. Following the news of Lucerys' death, Daemon essentially aims to seek revenge on the Hightowers for what occurred. He works with Mysaria, which means that she most likely survived the fire that occurred in episode 9, unless they're deviating from the book. Mysaria essentially hires two individuals called Blood and Cheese to break into the castle in King's Landing, and they take Allicent Hightower hostage. Whilst they're with Allicent, they wait for Helaena to return with her children, where they essentially give her an ultimatum. That is for her to name which child she's prepared to sacrifice in exchange for the taking of Lucerys' life by Aemond. Helaena in the moment was prepared to sacrifice herself, but the pair were not willing to allow her to do that. So in the moment she chose to give up her youngest child, which was Maethor, but instead they decided to kill her other child, Prince Jaehaerys, in a shocking twist. It's something that when depicted on screen it will be an extremely dark moment, as Jaehaerys is only 6 years old at the time of this occurring, so it will likely be graphic, saddening to witness, and a moment that weakens the Greens temporarily. There are so many different directions that the show could go in for Season 2 of the show, and with there being slight deviations from the novel, I feel we could see that occurring in the next season as well. However, I imagine most of it will likely stay true to the source material. The release date. In terms of a release date, we know for certain that a second season of the show is coming. We've been told that the show is looking like it's going to be spanning over the course of 4 seasons, which will have 10 episodes each, so we do have another 30 episodes to look forward to, hopefully. The second season was announced immediately after the very first episode was aired, way back in August. They announced that a second season had already been given the green light after its overnight success, drawing in over 20 million viewers on that very episode. Game of Thrones used to release the seasons every year, other than between season 7 and 8, where there was 2 years. And it seems as though House of the Dragon is going to be following that route. It's been said that the release date of season 2 of the show is going to be around sometime in 2024. Rumours are that the show is set to start filming some point next year, so if they look to release at a similar time of year as they did for season 1, it could well be a near on 2-year wait for the show to come out. It's a long while to wait, but if the quality is anything like what we've come to see in season 1 of House of the Dragon, in providing a better opening season than Game of Thrones, I think it will well be worth the wait. The cast. In terms of the cast members in the show, there were some major deaths that did occur in season 1 within the Targaryen family, meaning some characters won't be returning. But it's safe to say that most of the main characters that we saw alive and well at the end of this first season will most likely be returning in season 2. That means, in terms of characters that won't be returning, we won't have Paddy Considine as King Viserys, Elliot Greeholt as Lucerys Velaryon, and also his dragon Arax. Other than those, I think it's safe to say that we'll see Emma Darcy returning as Rhaenyra, Matt Smith as Daemon, Harry Collette as Jacaerys, Eve Best as Rhaenys, Steve Toussaint as Corlys, Bethany Antonia as Baela, Phoebe Campbell as Rhaena, Olivia Cook as Alicent, Rhys Ifans as Ser Otto, Tom Carney as Aegon, Ewan Mitchell as Aemond, Thea Sabin as Helena, Matthew Needham as Larys, Luke and Elliot Tittenser as Eric and Eric Cargill, and Fabian Frankel as Sir Criston. Along with this, we're likely going to be heavily introduced to House Stark in Winterfell, where we'll see Cregan Stark be the main focus leading the Starks that we'll come to see as the second season of the show goes on. I believe that all of the other characters, such as the Maesters and Workers in and around King's Landing and Dragonstone, will also be reprising their roles for the new season. Unfortunately for now, that's all that's known about season 2 of the show. I'm sure more information will be released as time goes on. With there being a long wait, there's plenty of time for a rewatch or even a read of Fire and Blood in order to get ready for the second season. So, there you have it, House of the Dragon Season 2, Everything We Know. If you want to see more videos on House of the Dragon, such as endings explained, theories and predictions, and character breakdowns, then click on the I button, or alternatively you can head over to my channel where you'll find them all. If you'd like to give me a show or movie that you'd like me to review, then head over to my Twitter, @BrainPilot_, and tweet me what show or movie you'd like me to review. And finally, if you'd like to see what I rate the latest movies that don't quite make the cut to getting a dedicated video, then head over to my Letterboxd profile. It's where I rate the latest releases in real time. What did you think of this show? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.